It's episode 52 of Beefy Boys Breakdown. What is up, everybody? We're gonna start with the prelims as usual, but yeah, we and I gotta say that while the main event is worth talking about and does have plenty of fallout, God damn it, I'll put last night's prelims up against any Fight Night prelims that we've pretty much done.
Bro, some of those
I'm sure that's
were bangers. Especially the first two. It was like the same story back to back.
The first three.
Yeah.
I feel you as far as the story goes, but I mean, as far as just those prelims were just outstanding.
Oh yeah, I forgot which fight was number 3. Yeah, that was okay. That's OKC. I've literally waited on her in my restaurant before. Talked to Julia Avila. She is really cool. Her jiu-jitsu partner went to school with us.
Oh, dope. Yeah. Yeah,
so
we were pulling for her for sure, especially all the drama with her, getting kicked out of her gym and all that. And then, she liked one of your boys' tweets yesterday. I told her I thought she deserved a bonus. So, yeah, no, if you ever want to get your tweet liked by a fighter, tell them that you agree they deserve more money. They'll like it real quick.
If you ever want to get into a fight with a fighter, tell them you don't think they fought well.
Oh yeah, that or call them short and fat. Shout out Darren Wynn. But yeah, also we got the Beefy Boys account got retweeted by, in the words of Chael's son, and Bahal Muhammad yesterday. But we got the retweet from Remember the Name Bilal Muhammad. That was pretty cool. Got some eyes on the Beefy Boys account. So go follow at Beefy Breakdown on Twitter to see fire tweets like that.
Which
Bilal
I guess,
Muhammad
funny enough, that all ties in together because it was Remember the Suit, for those that are wondering what the tweet was, which is in relation to him talking about DC getting blood on his suit during a post-fight interview from a hug, and him being like, hey, if I'm interviewing you, do not hug me. I love my suits.
Yeah, and then I was just remember the suit, Bilal, remember the suit, Muhammad. Yeah, for sure, man. It was a fun time yesterday.
Fun start time, too. We got a noon, 10 p.m. West or 10 a.m. West Coast start?
It was 10 a.m. West Coast, and I was having some coffee with some fights, no whiskey this week, and I liked it. And they were talking about it. I think a lot of the fighters like it too. I remember when I played football in college, I loved playing morning games, the whole Friday Night Light shit. I never really liked. I went to school all day. You want me to play at 7 at night?
I liked wrestling tournaments.
I liked waking up 12 hours.
Yeah, I liked waking up and just getting it because I don't know. For me, it was I could just go to sleep the night before and then wake up the next day and be all right, as soon as the day starts, I'm getting it.
Yeah. We in college, we'd have that 7:30 a.m. team breakfast, watch some film, do some walkthroughs, get padded up, get stretched up, and get after it. And then you have the rest of the day. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of in sports and across the board, not just mixed martial arts, but Monday Night Football. There's Saturday to Tuesday night baseball.
Thursday night football too. Thursday night football throws me off hard.
People make a big deal out of the night games, but you got to consider and I know there are some people that work out after work or work out at night. I don't know. Me personally, if I'm doing anything physical, I'm trying to pretty much get it out of the way and then relax. I don't like to do a whole day and then go do my physical activity.
I think Felder and DC talked about it too as far as fighting goes. When you're training, the shape you have to be in for that's so crazy that they're doing 2-3 workouts a day. So obviously you have to have a workout in the morning. And just from the way tapering usually works working out, you're going to do your hardest workout as your first workout because you have the most natural energy at that point. So for all these people fighting early, that's pretty much the same as their first workout of the day.
And to bring it full circle, it resulted in a fuck ton of finishes last night. I think 7 out of 13 fights ended in a finish. Man, just people were. I mean, just the performances were outstanding. There was a lot of competition for that bonus money, as we were talking about with Julia Avila. But yeah, man, we can dive into these prelims. We started off with some name power, and
I was amazed to see Medeiros open a 13-fight card.
Yeah, man, me too. And it's just one of those nostalgia factors, right? Because if you open up his Tapology page, it looks like a guy that should be opening a prelim. But it's just, he has that name cachet. The fond memories with fans for putting on bangers. And I think he just has the love and respect to UFC fans. And sometimes it's like that. It's not always the undefeated guys Nate Diaz, prime example, pretty much besides Conor, the biggest draw, the biggest star in the sport, has just L's all up and down that record. But they're quality L's and they're entertaining L's. And he doesn't give a fuck about them. So why should we? So, yeah, it's not always a 1-to-1 ratio with who the fans love and who is performing the best.
No, yeah, you're right. I think it's all fight style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Medeiros fights very similarly, which is that take a couple, 3-4 punches to try and land his own 1-2 combination. And he can take a shot. Like, he could take a shot.
He can take a shot. I got to say, man, that style does not age well, though. And
No.
that was pretty much the story, the narrative of this fight.
Funny enough, when I say he can take a shot, it's always the old adage of, if you don't have to, you shouldn't. So why be proud that you can? Like, it's good that you can, but you don't need to.
When as a fighter ages, right, that reaction time, that quick twitch is kind of some of the first thing to go. So it's one thing to, like, knowingly take a couple, but then when you're taking the couple that you agree to and you're also taking the couple that you're not agreeing to as well, you know, that it's a whole different – it's much different than just taking the ones you're agreeing to take. You know what I mean? It's just looked a little slow in that reaction time. I mean, we got a Yancy Medeiros plus 120 fighting Damir Hadzovic, minus 150 favorite, fighting at lightweight. And, both these guys coming off some L's. Both of these guys, you know, trying to get it back on track. But, yeah, like I said, we got some star power to start off the night. And but, man, I had round one, you know, Hadzovic starting off. It was a banger, though. It was a Yancy Medeiros fight. I mean, it was a stand-up banger, trading, landing shots, eating shots. It was a good old way to start the
Literally
fight.
Exactly what you think when you think Yancy Medeiros. You think just big trades. He's going to eat hard shots. He's going to land some bombs. Can this guy withstand his bombs and land a hard enough shot to put him out? That's usually the question of a Yancy Medeiros fight. Like, I feel like he is one of those guys that there's probably two ways to beat him, which is you're an elite grappler. You just grapple him to the ground, submit him, make it your game, or you just acquiesce to his game and have that skill set.
Yeah, and bang it out, and that's and Hadzovic was pretty much down to trade.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he brought that skill set.
Yeah, because I mean, Yancy had his moments in round one. You know, landed some shots, but I definitely, I mean, especially the significant strike numbers backed it up, and the eye test. Just Hadzovic was a little busier, a little more accurate. I think even if it wasn't busier, like both men were throwing and both men were active, but I just think Hadzovic was just more efficient, more effective. You know. Just better in round one. I had it 10-9.
And me too. I definitely had 10-9 to Hadzovic. But I also thought that when he hit Medeiros, it kind of would like snap Medeiros' head side to side. Like, it's just bad for the eye test as far as how that looks.
Yeah, and like there were shots that like you could see he was like trying to get out of the way, but just couldn't quite get out of the way.
Right, like he's trying to like head movement out of it.
And then on the flip side too, like his like IQ was there. He would like see the shots coming and like know to counter them, but everything was just that half a tick slow, and he would eat the shot and miss his own counter. Like, it was just that
and
timing.
Then get hit with the second shot because the first connected and put him in the right spot.
Yeah,
you're right. The timing was just the timing was just a half second off.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't even have the best eye for that kind of stuff, but that's how kind of like obvious it was. Like, he was maybe more than a half step, shall we say. But, man, round two, I mean, I don't even have a question mark. I had it 10-8. I thought it was a dominant round. There were, like, multiple near-fight ending, like, moments. Like, he was hurting Yancy just left and right. Every 30 seconds he was wobbling him. But, man, I was about to say, maybe I have to jot down old Chin of the Year candidate just for –
I mean, we're definitely walking him out just in the top 20, I think, right now, like, just to find out where we're at.
Yeah, no, seriously, because, I mean, like, listen, there was, like, 4 moments in that second round after a war of a first round where he ate shots that, like, would have dropped lesser fighters or fighters with lesser chins if not lesser fighters.
I didn't know how he was withstanding it late in the second. Like, when we hit about the 8.5 minute mark, I was like, I don't know how Medeiros is standing right now. And he continued to eat shots till maybe the last, like, 30 seconds of the round. Because then Hadzovic kind of started to wear out, and you could see the gas on his punches was taking off.
Yeah, no,
which was like –
when speaking of gassing out, I mean, I actually gave round 3 to Medeiros just because Hadzovic was literally gassed. Like, and Medeiros, man, he almost fucking pulled the rabbit out of the hat, man. Speaking of comparing him to Nate Diaz, he fought like Nate Diaz. Yeah, he had that choke deep.
I mean, if that fight's 8 more seconds, Hadzovic loses. The choke was in. He literally was just pulling the hand down to relieve pressure so that he could stay up until the seconds ran out on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even go as far as to say Hadzovic was saved by the bell in the third round.
Yeah, he was. That's what I'm saying.
But it was just crazy because he was up 3 points in 2 rounds.
Now, let me ask you this. If this is ONE FC, how you scoring that fight?
If I literally thought about this, then I'm going Medeiros.
Me too, because he's about to win the fight. Literally the last instance that we see.
And he outlasted him. It was like a war of attrition.
It'd be like in a movie if the guy like pulls a gun on someone, no gun, and it just goes to black. It's like, well, I assume the guy with the gun won.
Yeah, no, seriously, man. It was yeah, very interesting. But because so my scorecard was actually 28-27, which it sounds like yours was as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but none of the
Wait.
judges agreed with this.
Yeah, 28-27. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
so none of the judges gave out a 10-8, which I thought was weird because I thought that was one of the more obvious 10-8s. All three judges scored at 29-28. But I guess that's splitting hairs. The right man won for, well, I guess you could say the right man won. Like the right man, if you're going round by round, the right man clearly won. But if you're just like asking like who won the fight or who would you rather be, like, you know what I mean? I don't know if that answer is as clear, man. So I mean, I gotta say, like, it's so weird to say because like the first two rounds you were just saying like, oh yeah, Yancey looks slow, Yancey probably doesn't have it anymore. But that fighting spirit, like shout out Modelo, that fighting spirit, like that don't go away with age, you know, like that heart,
You
that
can't teach it either.
yeah, man, it was impressive. It was impressive, and it was enough for me to say I wouldn't mind seeing him, you know, fight it again. Like, you know,
God,
like
he just yeah, like I don't mind watching Yancy Medeiros fight. That's the thing is like he can go out there and lose, but I don't hate watching him fight.
and I'm sure he wasn't hanging his head after that. Like, you know, in his head, like, you know, the Sean O'Malley, Nate Diaz way of thinking. Like, fuck that, I won that shit. Like, I whooped his ass. Like, I
Well, and
would.
like I mean, if the fight ended with me on your back, locked in a choke, and the ref pulled me off of you, I might feel like I won too.
And I
End of
took
the
your
day,
best, and it wasn't enough to get me out of there. Like,
yeah, and I
yeah,
was about to put you out, so who
yeah,
really
man.
won?
It's interesting, but on paper and at the vote at the betting booth, Demir
Yeah,
Hedzovic takes it home minus 150. But outstanding fight, outstanding way to start off the night. Kind of a foreshadowing of things to come. I swear that first fight's always a foreshadowing because like it sets the tone. And I mean that everybody was just down to bang it out last night. I know it was this the first time that Justin James actually wasn't a last minute replacement? Like this fight was
yeah, no,
actually
this was
scheduled to
him
be
on a
Justin
camp,
James.
and then he goes to the Vegas window and bets his whole fight payment on himself to win. It was like Justin James, you're an idiot. Like,
You know
oh
what?
my
I'm calling
god.
cap. Unless I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
follow.
lies. That's lies.
Unless he posted the bet stub on
Yeah.
Instagram, I'm not buying that. I mean, also, not even in a negative way, that's genius. You get all the publicity and storylines, and they're talking about it without you actually having to do it. I think it's all fair and love, war, and fight promotion. But I don't know. I personally don't. Now, did he maybe bet 5 grand or 2,500 or 1,000? Like, I'm sure he bet on himself. That's not even that uncommon. But
No.
I'm not buying. And if he did, then like low key, he deserves that shit. Call me a dick because that's stupid as fuck. Like if you're on a UFC minimum contract, like probably making 10 and 10, and you go and bet 10 on yourself,
Oh.
and only plus it was like plus 140. Like it wasn't even
Yeah.
really that worth it. Like I don't know.
Dude, I don't know why he would A, do that, or B, talk about it. Like, don't talk, like, just do it. Don't talk
That's
about
why I
it.
think that he didn't do it and just talked about it. I honestly at least hope so. Maybe that's just how I'm like
Oh,
sleeping at night because I really hope he didn't do that. But anyway, yeah. So we
so
got
dumb. The Guitar Hero, so dumb.
oh man, we got Charles Rosa minus 175 fighting Justin James plus 140 fighting at featherweight. And like we actually got crack a lot of Justin James jokes on this podcast, but like not in a derogatory sense, just because he's always that last minute fighter and he fights with like kind of such little technique and just goes balls to the
Just big
wall,
power.
big power, and like I don't know, he's just like there's I don't want to say that there's a lot of Justin James out there because obviously every man is their own man, but like he's that guy, like that last minute replacement, like local circuit, like will put
Yeah.
you like dangerous but not like super crisp, like he's just like that guy embodied. He's like a
I
what do they
imagine you
call?
drinking. I imagine he's drinking Bud Lights at your local dive bar, sitting in the corner.
Yeah, no, Justin James, which I've grown to love him, right? Like I'm saying all this kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you know
yeah,
like
yeah.
you're talking about one of your buddies, like because he always steps up, he always like saves a fight, you know what I mean? Because somebody backs out last minute, he always puts on a performance. He's gotten some knockouts. So yeah, you know you gotta love Justin James, and I'm really happy you got a full camp for this one.
I am too, but I mean, Charles Rose is a good fighter, but I thought this was a really winnable fight at the same time too. So he
Yeah,
didn't have
no,
any excuse if he was to lose this fight.
no, exactly. And I think the UFC like kind of like you scratched our back, we'll scratch yours. Like I mean, obviously, I mean he wasn't favored, but you're right. Giving him Charles Rosa, he wasn't going to get a much better matchup than that. It just doesn't exist in like UFC at the, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, compared to what he's been getting, especially.
exactly. So, but man, round one was super close. I mean, Justin James was fighting like Justin James. He was coming forward, but Rosa, in my opinion, stole the round at the end of the round. At the start of the round, you know, James was landing his typical Justin James bombs, but at the end of the round, Rosa's just kind of technique and volume and cardio and, you know, just kind of, in my opinion, paid off at the end. You know, I think he just kind of outlasted him in the first, and that was kind of the story of this fight.
Yeah, I feel like Rosa just kind of out-volumed and out-activityed James as well. And, like, James was throwing such big shots that Rosa was able to get out of the way, kind of dodge out on him, while he was throwing a lot more, like, efficient combinations. Like, James doesn't throw efficient combos. He just kind of, I feel like, throws, like, these big shots. Maybe it's 1, 2, 3 sometimes, but they're all big shots. None of them are just, like, easy jabs or anything to bridge the next punch.
Yeah, and I mean, because I mean, it's like he dances with the date that brought him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's
And
how
he
he
wants you to
got
dance
there.
with him.
That's what he's known for. You know, that's like I'm sure what fans he has, you know, are like him because he fights like that. So you know, I get it, but yeah, is it the most efficient? Is it going to get you a lot of scorecard wins? No, and I think Justin James would probably even tell you that, like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna probably
But
win
that's
a
why it's so
decision.
dumb to bet on himself if he's actually going to. You know what? Well, maybe he didn't, like you said. I hope he didn't.
I hope he did.
Because with his style, it's like he might as well bet $500 on him to just win by KO and get the crazy odds differential because he knows he's not going to win a point fight. So and he's the fighter, so it's like you actually have way better odds than Vegas or us at home because you're the guy doing it.
Yeah, no, I wonder how like people feel about that. I wonder if they have their friends place the bet. Like, would Vegas let a guy bet actually?
I don't think you can actually professionally bet on yourself. Like a professional athlete cannot bet on themselves in their own professional venture, even if it is
that's
for
why whenever
themselves
they
to
were
win.
talking about it on the broadcast, I was like, is this all legal? Like,
Yeah.
Should we
I
be
was
talking
wondering the same thing.
I was like, is this
hey,
smooth?
I don't think this sounds great for people at home.
Oh man, but in round two, man, Rosa looked even better. He like kept getting James, and maybe you know the name for this position. I just called it like a quasi crucifix. Like he had both of his arms tangled up, but it wasn't a traditional crucifix. It was a weird, like awkward position, but it resulted in pretty much the end result of a crucifix. Like he had James's arms like tied up and was able to land some ground and pound.
It was weird because it was like Rosa was able to get his weight over James's shoulder and pretty much sit on James's arm and have his shoulder like tucked into his hip, so he couldn't have any space to open up his arm to slide it back out. So it was like pinned underneath him essentially is how James's arm was at very first, and Rosa was just keeping his weight on his arm to pin him there,
and then was just using wrist control on the other hand, right?
Right, just literally 2-on-1, just like playing with his wrist because it was like, okay, well, what are you going to do? And DC was talking about it. James just needed to continue to circle around him to like try and open up his arm or get over top to where he could noodle it back up. But he just wouldn't get the right angle. And then it got to the point where he got it extended and it was literally being like sat on. And DC was like, he needs to like do a series of like small shakes to try and get his arm to the right angle. Still wouldn't do it. Like that was a lot of stuff that you actually run into in wrestling, because in wrestling there's a lot of neutralized points where you get to these stalemate positions where it's going to be the guy that makes the little nuanced move and the little adjustment in the move, or that wrestles through the position, is what they like to say, that will end up winning out in that position. And he just kind of stopped.
Nice. No, yeah. Justin James, man, you know, he made a lot of mistakes. And that wasn't even his biggest mistake in the fight. I thought the biggest mistake he made was in round 3, and we'll get to it. But yeah, I love the DC Felder combo last night.
That was sick.
I don't know what Fitzgerald really brings to like the table. Like I just like
talking about donuts and churros.
Why are you here? Like it's kind of awkward for me. Like I think he's like there to like keep the train on the tracks, but it's like Felder and DC, they do a good job of keeping on the tracks themselves. Like it's not like a Bisping, Dominic Cruz. Like
they did get off on some crazy tangents last night.
I guess I was just along for the ride. I guess
like when they started going off about I ate a real breakfast. Felder's over eating brown rice. She's like, I actually hate brown rice. I like white rice. And then Brendan Fitzgerald just chimes in, I'll top a donut with a churro. I was like, what are you talking about? Where did that come from?
And then did Brendan Fitzgerald was like getting like awkwardly like whenever the ring girls would laugh, he was like getting like
Yeah.
self-conscious and like
Yeah.
I felt like that was real. Like it was like coming through the mic. I was like, oh, this is kind of cringe. It was
Dude,
just cringe.
And then Felder and Cormier were just like, why are they laughing? I got something in my teeth. What do they want?
And then they're like, oh, it's definitely you, Fitzgerald. But yeah, no, that was like awkward. But then yeah, Felder kind of saved it at the end. But so in round 3 of this James Rosa fight, man, I actually gave it to James.
Me too.
He had Rosa hurt, and then I swear I thought I was having deja vu of the Ige Korean Zombie fight. He has had him hurt with the fight with his hands. He pretty much had
and then hit the takedown,
and then shot the dumbest, least efficient takedown, like worst fight IQ takedown. It was actually worse than the Ige takedown. But
yeah, because he had him hurt.
That's what
like,
it reminded me of, though. Like just of last week, like it just was like deja vu. Like I was like, oh wow. Because, James, because the thing is, if James was trying to win a decision, probably not a dumb move for the takedown, but he was down 2 rounds to 1, and he's not that great on the ground. So it's like, I guess he was just tired, or I don't even know what, but he had Rosa hurt in the 3rd.
So he gets him hurt with what, like about 50 seconds, a minute to go, and starts pouring it on. No, maybe with like 90 seconds, because I think he hit the takedown with a minute to go. Yeah. It was like there was plenty of time for him to keep him standing and keep wailing away. Like, if you had just done all that work in 30 seconds of standing, what's 30 more seconds of standing going to do for you? Especially when this guy's leaning up against the cage because his balance is so off, he can't stand upright.
Yeah, and like
I didn't understand it.
Yeah, I thought James pretty much cost himself that fight, and if he 100% did, cost himself his money too. Because, but yeah, Charles. So then we go. The scorecards are screwy to me because I mean, round 1 was
I didn't
really
understand.
it wasn't that close. It was kind of close. Round 1 was really competitive. Rosa by a mile and 2, and James by not even by a mile, but James in 30. So I guess you could see how it could be close. But one judge scored at 30-27. Rosa. I'm not even really mad at that because of how James.
Well, I mean, that doesn't make sense for round 3. How the fuck would Rosa win round 3? He was getting lit up.
And then the next judge scored at 29-28 for James, which I guess they gave him 1 and 3. Like,
which I don't get how you give him 1.
I don't get it, but it was close. Like, I didn't. But, yeah, and then the last judge actually got it right, 29-28 Rosa. It shouldn't have even been that complicated. But so the right man wins, but it's a split decision, which I guess makes it that much more salt in the wound for James if this story is true.
Yeah, to be that close.
God, he didn't get much sleep that night. But, yeah, so Rosa gets the win over James, entertaining fight. It was fun. It was a fun fight, especially for a fight that probably there's probably scenarios where it wasn't that fun of a fight, so it turned out to be a good one. But yeah, then this next fight we got OKC's own Julia Villa, the Raging Panda, -345 favorite, 15th ranked bantamweight, fighting Julia Stoliarenko plus it was the battle of the Julias, plus 260 underdog for Stoliarenko, and fighting at bantamweight. And man, I thought I was a little shocked that Julia Villa was this big of a favorite, but I mean, she performed outstanding.
I was surprised she was this big of a favorite as well. I was going to ask you something because I actually thought it was more apparent in tonight's fights than any of the others I've watched. Do you think the fighters are actively listening for DC and Felder's commentary when either of those guys are watching? Because there were plenty of times last night where DC, I can think of 4 examples specifically where DC would say something and then boom, the fighter would do it almost instantly, and I was like, can they hear him?
Well, especially you got to think probably some of the lower prelims fighters like DC.
There's no noise in there.
Way more credentialed than their own coach. Some of the lower. Yeah, I think in the apex it's a factor. I think but at the same time though, what are you supposed to do? Because as a viewer, as a listener, I enjoy DC saying that kind of stuff, and it is it's not like he's telling people to make the wrong move.
Right, right, true. But then I also thought too, last night when Justin James hits that takedown. Him and Felder both go, no! And it's that is inherently a little bit of coaching going on. That line gets blurred. It's just it's hard
I don't
because
know
it's
how
natural
you
human
remedy
reaction.
it. It's natural human reaction. I think it's great for the viewer, especially the viewer trying to learn about it and educate themselves.
Yeah, to understand that's a mistake is a big deal.
And it's not like there's not precedent. I mean, I guess it's a little different, but what Tony Romo does, they're gonna run a fade.
True, he will call. He calls
it all the time, But I guess the players on the field can't hear him, so it's not an apples to apples.
See, that's what what I'm saying. Is like when
Yeah.
you can hear them saying that stuff, does that make a big difference?
I think it can. You know what I mean? It kind of got to leave it open ended. Like it could make a difference, but I
That's
don't think it
crazy.
like always does, or and I don't think that we're like better off without it, and I don't think it's necessarily like cheap or anything.
No, and when there's fans in the arena, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. And sometimes he's saying just kind of like sometimes I'm saying the same thing as DC as he's saying it. So sometimes it's just kind of like the obvious thing.
Right, absolutely.
So yeah, but hey, great point, valid point to bring up. But yeah, these ladies went to war in round one, man.
Yeah,
There was a banger, and
yeah.
it was pretty 50-50 until front kick of
Dude,
2021.
the front kick to the face off the combos was insane.
Yeah, no, it's like she literally looked like a SWAT officer kicking down the door of a crack house. Like she fucking was just like boom, because you'll see front kicks every once in a while. Usually nowadays you see more teep kicks or like or even just calf kicks. But every once in a while, you'll see some like kind of Muay Thai front kicks. But yeah, the way Avia was using the front kick at the end of her combinations instead of more of a traditional martial arts kick where you twist the hips, she was really using that front kick. I said
Like
straight
Anderson
SWAT.
Silva style front
Yeah.
kick.
Yeah, like straight like SWAT officer style front kick. That's what I don't know. That's what it was reminding
Yeah,
me of.
just
She
like
was
kicking the
down
door.
doors. Yeah. But yeah, no, but straight. So I think essentially was aiming at the chest, but then Stolyarenko picked the wrong time to kind of go down. Or do you think she was aiming it at the face? I think she was aiming it at the chest.
I think she was aiming at like the high chest. And
Yeah.
Stolyarenko like bobbed her head and caught it like right on the chin. Right on the chin.
Yeah, but it landed flush.
Yeah.
Flush as it can really possibly land. And
it had Stolyarenko hurt too. Like you could tell that hurt her.
It did. And then even before that, even before she hit her with the front kick, she had damaged her nose, essentially destroyed the nose earlier with a punch. So the damage, the front kick, round 1, 10-9 Avia, even though it was a war.
What's crazy is Raging Panda's power was pretty apparent last night. Like I felt like her shots were like leaving remarkable damage on Stolyarenko.
And her fighting style, her ability to kind of pour it on, but not gas herself out. Like pour it on for the like appropriate amount of time and then reel it back. And then
blitz out, blitz in, reel it out.
Yeah, it was almost like a dirt bike throttle. Like she could, but then she would let off the throttle, and then whenever it was time to let it go, she would go ahead and gas that throttle. I thought she managed that gas tank and managed the explosiveness and like timed her flurries just like really well.
I will say, like, I didn't think she was the most technical striker.
No.
If I was gonna like put some marks out against her, it would be that her combos weren't necessarily like counter shots or anything. Like she just started throwing her combos against another set of combos or set of combinations, and just said, "I'm gonna land mine. Hopefully, you don't land yours."
This fight was a brawl. You can lump it in the brawl category. This fight was a
she
brawl.
Fights like a brawler.
It was not a technical. Some of the grappling got somewhat in the clinch work and stuff like that. They got a little more technical. But
actually,
but
their grappling at the end in the third round was incredibly technical, but their striking was brawling.
Striking was brawling, which I mean, it was entertaining as hell, though. It was, and they were both landing too. Like, but Avia was wearing the shots really well too. Like,
I don't think Stolyarenko wanted a brawl either. I think she wanted a technical stand up and then a takedown match
and like a clinch. Yeah. She seemed to really like that clinch up against the fence, and that's actually I gave round 2 to Stolyarenko for that clinch, like the cage work, the clinch work. I thought Avia did a really poor job of using her underhooks to get off the cage. Or you could view it as Stolyarenko did a really good job of keeping her underhooks and controlling with those underhooks. But the underhook battle was what won Stolyarenko round 2. Avia, and like I said, I'm no expert on this, but there was times where I was like, you should clearly be trying to dig that underhook, and she wasn't. So it allowed her to be controlled against the cage. Did you see it that way?
Yeah. So I wrote super close round. I was actually leaning toward Avia, but only because I literally wrote eye test based on the fact that Stolyarenko just looked like hurt at the end of the round. Like when she was walking back to her corner, I was like, she's done.
Yeah, I do think that was most of the damage was done in round 1, though. And I guess, it is accumulation, and it was added to it. It wasn't like she didn't hit her some more in that round. And did you notice in round 2, Avila was definitely targeting that nose, like even just little
Yes.
shots, like the
Yes.
little
I
they
was
kind of
actually going
seemed.
to say there was one time when she could have transitioned off the cage and instead she just like did a little uppercut right into her face. And I was like, wasn't the right thing, but I was like, I see what you're doing.
And then you see the moment, and I'm gonna butcher. I don't remember exactly when, but there was a moment where instead of using traditional like methods to get stand up from the grappling, Avia just literally just touched the nose until Stolyarenko literally had no choice but to let go, and she was able to get back to her feet.
Yeah,
Like just
that's
little,
almost
just touched it.
just
Just
this was little top
yeah.
punches where Silly was like, all right, I don't want to do this.
I was like, oh, that's gnarly. I see you though, because she's like Julia Villa is like the nicest girl in the UFC, but she was not there to make friends. She was in there brawling and fighting. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was in a fight. That was a fight last night. But yeah, so I had it, 1919. You had it 2018 going into 3.
Yeah, but dude, so in round 3 we had what I thought was a great job by Herzog, which is odd because later on he's in the reffing another fight and should have done this again and doesn't. I don't know why there was a difference between the two.
Okay.
I mean, we'll get to it actually later because there's
yeah.
a big like debate about it, and if you watch it in slow mo. But I'm just saying from like real life perspective, he probably should have done the same if he was going to do it here. But what ends up happening in the 3rd round? I mean, you have it tied up. I have it 2018, but I will note as well. One judge had it Stolyarenko up 2-0. We looked up the scorecards for this.
I don't see how you can.
I don't see how she can win
with
first.
the front kick. Like I said, up until the moment of the front kick, I'm with you. It's a coin flip. Both ladies landed some bombs. Hey, I'm not really going to die on that hill. But the front kick was the gigantic exclamation point. Like the Baker Mayfield flag in the ground on that one.
The overall damage that's being done, I think, too. Like,
yeah. No, I'm with you. That was out of line. But I also had it 1919. So but yeah, round 1, I don't see how you now round 2, like I said, I gave it to Stolyarenko, but round 1, I don't see how you possibly do.
So with that being said, we get to round 3. Avila gets a nice takedown, and is essentially in a position to, I guess, take her back or
she did have her back at one moment.
Had her back, yeah, and then Stolyarenko starts to reverse the position, but Herzog steps in and stops it. And at first, I wondered what happened. Well, she grabbed the cage and literally ripped herself out of the position, and he saw her do that. So he was like, no, we're going to restart exactly where you were. I thought that was a great job.
That was a great job. That was a great job. It really
He did a good job not to give advantage more or less than what it already was, too. Like, I thought he reset them to their original position really well.
Yeah, and you'll understand that concept better than me from being a wrestler. Sometimes don't you get put in certain positions?
Like yeah.
So
there's definitely set positions, yeah.
Yeah, so I always felt like there's no truly getting back to the same position because of like you're not still,
all kinds of things.
You know what I mean? If you're moving and wiggling, it's different than being static, But
and to have to start on like a clap, you know what I'm saying? That's also a little different.
It's different. It's just different, but as close as we can get. And I thought he did. It was a great time and place to exercise that, and like I don't think he got too involved or anything like that. It was well done by Herzog there. Great point. But yeah, and then Julia Villa was able to actually get the rear naked choke after just having most of the round control, ground and pound. I mean, she was on her way to winning that fight regardless. It's not like she pulled a rabbit out of the hat or anything, but she got the finish, and so that's why she was lobbying for performance of the night bonus. And I thought she did look great, and I do think she probably did deserve a bonus, but it is what it is. Shout out to the Raging Panda.
There were just so many good finishes.
There were so many.
Card.
It was a tough night to want a bonus. It was.
Yeah, I mean, damn, man, I'm looking at it. I mean, every next fight for the next 4 we're gonna go through. 5 is finishes.
Yeah, no, that's why these prelims were amazing. I'll put these prelims up against any prelims. But yeah, Avila wins as she was the biggest favorite on the whole card, so minus 345. That probably also factors in as why she didn't get a bonus. Like she was supposed to essentially finish her. But yeah, she holds on to her 15th ranking. The bantamweight division is kind of weird at the bottom of it. What do we see? What do we got here? Who's ranked above her? There's Carol Rosa, Sajara Eubanks, not Penny Kianzad's 10. None of those fights really just move the needle for me. So whoever they give her next, I'll be rooting for. We're big Raging Panda fans on the Beefy Boys breakdown, and I'm happy she got her gym situation straightened out. I'm happy she got the win, holds on to her top 15 spot, and just overall fought like a badass. Looked incredible last night.
Yeah, yeah. I think the takeaway was that she just looked really good, entertaining too, very entertaining. Like I
Yes.
think as far as cachet, like that was good for her with fans.
Yeah, me too. I hope they put her on the fucking main card next time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
Let's
I
get her
mean,
out these prelims.
not a terrible spot for her though to be fighting around 12:45, 1 on Central Time, her time, around 2 East Coast, 11 West Coast. Like, I mean, you got a chance that people are just still at home watching. I guess it's all ESPN Plus. Actually, what am I saying?
Well, but still, though, people waking up and being drunk on Friday, I feel you. but yeah, we'll keep it pushing. This next fight, man, was entertaining as shit. We had Marcin Prachnio, minus 200 favorite, fighting Isaac Villanueva, Hurricane Ike, plus 160, fighting at light heavyweight. And this was the fight. This was the Dana White's, if you don't know now, you know, fight to look out for. And it
did not disappoint.
Did not disappoint. Yeah, I honestly, call me corny, say what you will. I know some people. I enjoy those videos every week, though. If you don't know, I look forward to them. It is what it is. Hey, I like watching them. But yeah, fighting at light heavyweight, and man, this was the tale of 2 rounds, or really not even 2 rounds. But yeah, this was an entertaining fight. Round 1, man, Villanueva had Pragno hurt a couple different times and was damaging that eye. And we know Ike has power in them hands, man.
But Pragno was also destroying Villanueva's leg. Like, Ike could barely walk forward by the end of the first round. It was just a weird battle of Pragno going for almost exclusively Villanueva's legs and body and a few hard counter shots. And at one point, they flashed the strike numbers. Villanueva's had 22 landed significant strikes, all to the head. No body, no legs.
Yeah.
So it was like he was going for a standard boxing approach, and it looked like Prachnio was more trying to almost like kickbox him or Muay Thai fight him.
So how did you score it?
Man, I scored it 10-9 to Villanueva, but I could see it either way depending on what you value. Yeah, because Villanueva really couldn't walk too effectively by the end of the round.
I feel you, and I do. I scored it the same as you, and nobody. I mean, I literally lobby like that leg kick should be valued and held in higher standards. So I'm not trying to talk out of both sides of my neck, but like, as much as I like respect, I don't even want to say love leg kicks. I don't think anybody loves watching catfish, but respect and value the damage that they inflict.
Yeah,
I'm right up there with anybody, but I'm not going to put that over like punches to the head from a power puncher that are landing and causing damage to the eye. Like I can't jump that. So great point. I'm glad you did a great job of, painting the picture of the damage those leg kicks were inflicting, and they were. Ike's leg is tore up, and I think it does come into factor later on in the fight. So he kind of put in that work, but I do think Ike did enough to win that first round. And but then round 2,
he did have Prachnio hurt too. He had a tell on him, which was that whenever Prachnio throws, he dips his head off to the side. And Villanueva caught him with an uppercut probably 4 or 5 times. That was like a vicious uppercut. Like I think the second one he landed cut Prachnio open right underneath his eye.
Yeah, Villanueva's his boxing is just so on point.
It was nice,
accurate and strong, but now is he well rounded? Not in the slightest. He's super one dimensional, and probably I imagine a coach would love to make a game plan for fighting Ike Villanueva, but But yeah, so Pragno kind of weathers the storm. We're 4 minutes into a round, and up until that point, I mean, I think Villanueva was winning the round on everybody's scorecards up until a fucking lever kick from hell comes from Pragno to Villanueva, and it was just the classic liver kick delay fucking shut off.
Maybe the hardest liver shot I've ever seen. Just being real.
Straight up Giga Chikadze-esque, you know what I'm saying? And it was, but coming from a light heavyweight, and it just if you close your eyes and think of a liver shot, that's what it looked like. There was the delay, it hit him, and at first, because like in the classic liver shot, there's always a moment where it's like, okay, I'm not tripping, I can take a shot to the body, and then like that little half a click, half a beat goes by, and then they crumple.
To see him just go down fist to the mat, just like in like a all fours position, when you're in the middle of a fight.
He's a tough son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Isaac Villanueva, he's known for he can take a punch. He's taking those leg kicks like a gangster all night. I mean, it's not like a pain tolerance thing. Like, it literally shuts off your body. I've heard it be compared to getting kind of hit in the nuts, as far as like
really.
I've heard it be described that way, as
Ouch.
like, as far as like the only other thing people can relate to, because most people would never go their whole life without ever taking a liver shot. So like, just that kind of delayed, when you get hit in the nuts, it's a kind of like a delay, then it goes in your stomach, you fall down. I heard it's kind of a similar feeling. Pagno, now that's what I call pulling a rabbit out of the hat, because he was essentially getting worked for 9 minutes, with the exception of the leg kicks.
Right. And I honestly, it was the weirdest thing, because this whole time watching the fight, I was nervous for Villanueva, but not for Prachnio. Yeah, because Prachnio, I've seen him take an ass whooping. Like, I've seen him take an ass whooping. But for Villanueva, I was like, man, if you can't stand, the ref will actually just stop the fight based on the fact that you can't stand. Like, if they think your leg is like structurally compromised, they'll just call the fight. And I was like, that might happen here.
Yeah, I thought the odds of Villanueva knocking Prachnio out were much higher than the odds of it being stopped due to leg kicks, though. Like, I don't know. Like, I just so like at the start of the fight, I was like, oh well, if Villanueva, essentially, like, if Villanueva is able to get these hands going, because he put all his eggs in the basket of his hands. So I was like, if he's able to get the hands going, and he was able to get the hands going, like, the hands were going about as good as they could go. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I mean, he's looking pretty good. Like, that's his game plan, is to get a knockout with his hands, and he's about a nut hair away from getting a knockout with his hands. You know what I mean? It's hard for me
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
It sounds like that's how he wanted the night to go, and he was willing to eat leg kicks in order to execute that game plan. But when it's all said and done, Prachnio gets the technical knockout win. As the -200 favorite, gets a $50K performance of the night bonus, and it's hard to argue. I wasn't saying that Avila should have had his bonus, because he earned that. He pulled the rabbit out of the hat.
That liver shot too, man.
It's gorgeous. Just the one.
And Prachnio was on a 4-fight losing streak until he beat Khalil Roundtree in his last fight, which we talked about on the podcast, because we thought Roundtree just had a bad performance, but looks like Prachnio might be turning a corner with his own set of skills. Kind of starting to learn how to weather the storm.
Is that your
get
takeaway?
in there.
I think my takeaway is more fluky, bro. To be real, I'm not trying to be a pessimist. I'm not trying to be glass half empty guy, but just the way that fight was going down, it's not like you can say he looked great. Like,
no, I thought the placement of the kick was perfect. And then I thought his game plan wasn't bad, because Villanueva was so tough that maybe those leg kicks do stop or start to affect a lesser man.
In the third round, if it goes 3,
that's
a
what I mean, because we're only in 2.
Yeah, I feel it.
Think about sitting for 1 minute and going and letting that leg swell too. When you go sit and you actually, like, you know what I'm saying, let the blood kind of pool just in the unbent part of the leg. I don't know. It'd be interesting. To say the least. I would like to see how that goes. Now, as far as Prachnio being the -200 favorite, I don't think he looked like he was a -200 favorite. I think that's fair to say as well.
And I think it's also fair to say that Villanueva is just one of those tough nights out, right? Like,
yes, yeah, like kind of a boogeyman style fighter where you gotta put him out somehow, and that's never easy.
Yeah, like he's a guy, he probably has a low ceiling. It's not like we're gonna see him ascending through the light heavyweight ranks, but just is anybody raising their hand to go fight Ike Villanueva? That's going to be a tough night.
Not really, yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Like, don't want that. You just don't want to have to deal with that problem. It's like, I can solve this, but fuck.
Yeah, like, easy game plan for your coach to figure out, but hard for you to execute. Hard for you to walk through that fire. Yeah, you got to walk through that fire. Yeah, for sure, man. But we'll keep it pushing, because these next couple fights give us a ton of talked about as well. We got to give them their due respect. So I have Warley Alves, -240 favorite, fighting Jeremiah Wells in his debut as a +190 freak from Philadelphia.
Believe it or not, I've seen him fight before this. That KO that they flashed of him knocking the dude out like cold, I had watched that fight before, because that's a first-round KO. So someone put that whole first round up on Twitter or something like that back when it happened, and I just watched it, and like, when they started playing it, I was like, oh, I have seen this guy before. I didn't put the name together.
Oh, that's always dope. Yeah,
but dude, those Philly boys can crack, bro. Like, think about Felder, Alvarez, Phil Hawes, Jeremiah Wells, Sean Brady. Like, the Philly squad dudes can fight.
Yeah, they don't come to play. There's a different ferocity, different just yeah, man. They don't come to fuck around. And I'm not saying Worley Elvis does. You know, Worley Elvis well credentialed. He was minus 240 favorite. These boys were fighting at welterweight, and we had some strong welterweights, man. But Wells, man, he looked like a strong safety. He was so jacked and athletic.
Oh yeah, sorry, I had my torch going, so I shut myself on mute.
Oh
But
no, you're
for
good.
for Wells, I mean, for how I saw the first round, I felt like he pretty much dominated the first 3.5 minutes. Alves started to actually make some nice adjustments though toward the end of the round,
Yeah,
which I thought was actually going to be like a thing where Alves continued those adjustments and actually made.
the
I thought the
veteran
second round,
moves to
yeah, I thought
figure
the
him
second.
out.
I thought the
Yeah,
second round was going to go a lot different than how it ended up playing out.
yeah. But you still have round one, 10-9 Wells.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah,
thought he was
that
pretty
ground and
much owning
pound.
the round.
And he was just so aggressive. Like he fought like
Fast too.
he if his walkout song isn't DMX already, it needs to be. Like he fights like DMX sounds. Like
Well, and yes, that's a
like
great way to put it. Holy
he's a
shit.
like I know the word dog gets thrown around a lot, and when we're talking fighting and combat sports, or really any sport nowadays, but the word dog gets thrown around. But goddamn, Jeremiah Wells is a dog. That would be my word to describe him. Just
Well, and I guess Felder alluded to it as well because he trains with him. He was like, "Oh yeah, whenever he gets you hurt, he was like, he will finish you." He was like, "It doesn't matter practice, in the ring, probably at home. Like if you're hurt, he's gonna finish you."
yeah, Felder pretty much said like, yeah, I've sparred with him, but I wouldn't really call it sparring as much as fighting because yeah, this guy has like one gear, and you can see he fought that way. And like I said, I kind of because it's not like he's the first freak athlete that comes out hot, and usually we talk about it in kind of a negative term, like oh, this guy's gonna gas. And I think
Right.
a lot of MMA fans were kind of waiting for him to gas, and the veteran Worley Alves to kind of
I kind of
take
was
over
too.
late.
That's what I mean. I
Like
kind of thought we
I,
saw that shift happening,
it's
but
like I liked what my eyes were seeing, but I was kind of waiting for it to either slow down or for the tides to kind of quote unquote shift. But yeah, Jeremiah Wells did not allow that to happen because round two he came out and dropped him with the right hand 30 seconds into round two. And then one of the more vicious finishes like I've
oh yeah,
like it was like a fatality style. Like I mean, it wasn't anything complicated. It was just like essentially what three right hands, but just the first
yeah.
one he like jumped into, and then just his natural power. Once again, like if it was a 170-pound male version of Clarissa Shields ground and pound, like it was just like pistons.
I also felt like he landed three. The first one was like that jumping right that pretty
Yeah,
much put
yeah,
Alves
yeah.
out. The second one like put him out cold. The third one, I felt like the ref was there and he just kind of still went with another punch and was like, "No, I still want one more." And I was like,
Yeah, that's what
like
I'm talking about. That dog, that killer instinct, that kind of it
essentially like
factor.
the ref, you need to like push me off. Don't just like stand here. Like you need to get me out of here because I'm not in the mode to be stopped right now.
Yeah, he even talked about it in the post-fight interview. He's like he didn't really apologize or anything. He was just like, yeah, sometimes, man, when I'm going,
He's
sometimes,
like, sorry, I get a little crazy in there
yeah.
sometimes.
I'm like, yeah, you sure do, my friend. But
You're like, you're in a cage fight. You're in a steel cage. It's cool, bro.
yeah, no, but I mean, the thing is, it's hard to get too excited about a guy like Wells, right? Like I feel like we've kind of seen this style of fighter. It usually has a ceiling on it, but I mean. I'm along for the ride as long as it lasts. I mean, and I'm not trying to cast it in a negative light. He's young, and he has the jiu-jitsu black belt, so maybe we just didn't even get a chance to see the well-roundedness. But he's got to figure out, like, pacing and cardio and, like,
Yeah,
gas tank.
that's going to be a problem when he fights someone. I mean, I say that, but if he's training with guys like Felder and Sean Brady, then like maybe he
Can he
does
do
know what
that
he's
for
doing.
15 minutes? Is he just that much of a freak?
Well, he's
That
the
would be
champ.
nuts.
He was the champ in CFFC, and I think those are 5 round 5 minutes. So if
Yeah,
he ever
I
went,
think they said he has fought 3 5-round fights already in his young career. So, yeah, yeah,
oh wow, so
yeah,
maybe he
yeah.
can do that.
That would, if so, man, the sky's the limit for this guy. I love these young welterweights. Yeah, him and Sean Brady too, right? Another welterweight. Yeah,
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
these young welterweights are badasses, man.
these guys. Well, speaking of welterweight, I mean, we can keep it pushing on us to the next one if you want.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
takes place at welterweight again. It's Michel Prazeres plus 235 versus Shavkat Rakhmonov, or Rakhmonov, minus 305. Now, this dude we were huge on. I think the last time he fought was Khabib, right? The Khabib card,
I think
or
so.
it was a big card.
Well,
That's
he
all I can
fought, I
remember.
think, a couple times in 2020. I want to say this is his first fight in 2021.
Yes, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right,
Yeah,
right.
we were pretty high on him. I mean, pretty much everybody was. There's a lot to be high on, you know.
Undefeated.
Undefeated, yeah, 13-0, fighting at welterweight, incredibly long and pretty much just massive for the division. He's
This
fighting,
fight was comical, by the way, in physical appearance.
yeah, they did him a favor with the matchup, but I think wasn't it a last minute replacement or not? I'm not sure exactly. It was a weird matchup. Michel
Yeah,
Pereira, he had been out for what, like over 2 years, right, or something along those.
yeah.
And on top of that, he was like 6 or 8 inches shorter than
Well, he's
Rakhmonov.
5'6" with a 57-inch reach, and then Rakhmonov is
Like what,
6'1", 6'1" with a 76-inch reach.
Yeah, it didn't look like these guys were in the same weight class, but it kind of did because Pereira is a meatball. He was a little fullback in there, you know.
El Tractor was his name.
That's hilarious. I didn't catch that. That's really hilarious. That's great. That actually makes me like him more. But yeah, I mean, man, this fight was all about Rakhmonov. You know, it was pretty much a showcase for him. I don't think
perfect
anybody.
word.
Yeah, I don't think
That's the
anybody
word.
really expected you know, a competitive fight, but it was just how is he going to look? How is he going to do it? And I got to say, man, is there a guy more well-rounded?
No,
Like,
that's what I dude. I wrote he could be a problem for a lot of these guys in this division because he's so well-rounded. Like he's kind of like a Darren Till kind of a guy where like, well, how do you beat him? Like what way do you go about it? Like you're just going to have to be better skill for skill, and there's not a lot of guys that
or
have
catch
that.
him. You know,
Yeah,
I don't think we've
true.
really seen him take any punishment yet, and that's why I really do want to. It's hard with a guy like this, but I do kind of want to pump the brakes on the train on the rocket ship because we haven't really seen him fight anybody yet. We really haven't.
True. Very
Like,
true.
you know, this was a super favorable matchup, and he looked great. He looked like he was supposed to look, but I do want to pump the brakes. He is young. He looks the part,
he
though.
landed a spinning wheel kick into a knee to the body combo.
No, he
Like,
looks the part. He looks the part, but there was
oh,
also really nothing threatening him, right? So, like, when there's nothing
it's
threatening
true.
you,
Yeah, you can throw way
you
more
can
openly.
just bust out the, you know, PlayStation controller and start hitting the combos. And I'm not trying to be, like I said, I feel like I'm just pessimistic today. I don't know, but, like, just because I don't want to be, you know, 8 months from now being like, oh man, here's another young hotshot prospect we kind of jumped the gun on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I feel that.
but yeah, it looked fantastic, looked outstanding. In the first round, he literally did everything. He on the outside, he was pumping the jab, he was doing fantastic kicks, he was controlling the distance. Then he didn't need to shoot for the takedown. I guess he just felt like it, but he shot them a super well-timed takedown, was able to hold down essentially what you would think would be the stronger man. And then, yeah, he was landing knees to the body. I mean, you name it. They said just well-rounded. He did it all in round one, whatever he felt like doing. They said there was never a time where he like needed to do something. He just was just doing it. He was just fighting his fight.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was I was impressed, to say the least.
And then in round two, you know, he beat him up. There was some more ground and pound. It was just became more and more and more apparent that they was, you know, outclassed. And Pereira told us that. Don't take my word for it. Pereira's tapped, I think, before the choke was even fully locked in.
No,
Quickest
really, like,
tap I've maybe ever seen.
yeah. I mean, he was beat up. He was.
Like,
That's like, you know, Chael P's always talking about the taking the way out.
yeah,
That was pretty much
and I don't think
taking
that's
the way out.
always the case, right? Like, there's times where tapping is the right move. You know, we don't need everybody to be Jamal Hill and Tony Ferguson. You know what I'm saying? But so I'm not even one of those guys that frowns on people for tapping. But he wasn't looking for a way out. He was buying tickets. He was flagging himself. Like he was the fucking the lady on Happy Gilmore that jumps the AC falls on her. She's like, get me out of here. Like that was Pereira's, which I mean, I get it, man. I mean, there was no path to victory for Pereira, and I mean, I'm not saying I would do anything different, but he was looking for a way out, and Rakhmonov provided it with the like I said, that was probably the quickest tap I've ever seen. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Like, I'm not sure the choke was even fully cinched in.
I don't think it was even under the chin. As soon as it slid off his chin
Like
underneath.
the arm was like here, he was tapping.
Yeah, like he was already ready to tap. I was
he was getting them fingers, he was getting them loose. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
it's like he was like letting him put it in, just like,
You sure? Go ahead. Yeah, no, I mean, we say that jokingly. You know, we respect these athletes, but it was the quickest tap probably ever. But I mean, like I said, we didn't really need to see any more, right? Now, what I do need to see is Rakhmonov in there with somebody that, you know, is going to give him a fight. And so looking at and he did call for top 15. So I'm not saying that he's trying to pad his own record or anything. He's just fighting the people they match him up with. And the UFC is doing a good job of building them up, because look how much hype and everybody's, you know, riding this guy's nuts now, you know, rightfully so.
Me being one of those people.
Yeah, me too. And there's a fucking ton of fun fights to make at the bottom. Literally 10 through 15, I would be down to watch. So 15.
I mean, Muslims, he was calling for top 15.
Yeah, I mean, 15 Muslim Salikov. So you kind of got the little regional kind of. I mean, I'm sure there'd be a big fight for that whole region, you know, and the Caucasus. Got Sean Brady at 14. I think we say every time there's a dope young welterweight, we're like, oh, Sean Brady. And his fight with Kevin Lee just fell out. Sean Brady was matched up with Kevin Lee, which I was actually really stoked for.
That would have been a heater of a fight.
I was stoked for it, but Kevin Lee pulled out. So, I mean, I don't know. Sean Brady maybe. Ponzinibbio's at 13. Jay Lang's at 12. Damian Maia's still at 11. Jeff Neal's at 10.
Zhang Liang would be fun. Zhang Liang would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, I'm down. Sign me up for any of those.
Because Zhang Liang has the link to match up to Rakhmonov. So, like, I would like to see how he deals with someone that is his foil as far as physical stature.
Because he looks the part, man, and not just physically. But that's the thing. Because
skill set, his techniques are so good.
We see the guys with the skill set, and then we see the freak athletes, and we see the guys with the really nice problematic matchup builds. He seems to check box. Like, he's a plus athlete. He's exceptionally strong he's stronger than he looks. The reach is insane for the weight class. The power is like pretty damn solid for being a lankier guy. And then the grappling's there. I mean, the takedown defense is there. I mean, but like I said, it's really hard to evaluate against the lesser competition. He needs, like, you know, we were kind of you know, on Chimaev, like, before he beat Mearschart, you know, like, oh man, he's running through these tuna cans, but then when he beat Mearschart, everybody was like, okay, the
he's got legit skills.
So I feel like he needs that moment, you know, but man, once he has that moment, load up the coal, fuel up the rocket. I mean, I think.
Give me the conductor's hat and goggles, because I'm on.
Because, I mean, even the top end of the division. I mean, if say the competition level isn't like deceiving our eyes, right? Like, say he's every bit of the part he looks. I mean, matchup wise, George Masvidal, like, skill for skill, like technique for technique. I mean, you know, that'd be
fun. That'd be fun. Or Wonder Boy would be super fun.
Wonder Boy, yeah, because he could probably wrestle better than Wonder Boy, maybe. But
Rakhmonov is a really good grappler.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, just matchup wise, he gets real. And then, like, I don't know, Jeff Neal at 10. Like, do I think that's like I mean, Jeff Neal could definitely maybe knock him out, but skill for skill, like I'm saying, skill for skill. If we're talking matchup. It's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's the thing, is, like, he's so well rounded too that, like, I think no matter what one guy might have over him, he's going to have a path to victory in a different way. Like, he always has a path to victory, and that's important as far as, like, being able to reach the top.
And we haven't seen his cardio or chin really be truly tested, though.
Yeah, right. And those are both very
super important for sure, especially in that division full of killers. But we'll keep it pushing. But I mean, we definitely had to give Rakhmonov his time, because if you that's my version. If you don't know now, you know, like, you get used to that name Rakhmonov. He might be the next Chimaev. That's kind of the comparison that's being built, especially Chimaev. I mean, we love you. I'm still with you, Chimaev, but I mean, it's, you know how MMA fans are. What have you done for me lately? It's easy to fall out of recent memory, and You know, we understand the COVID, all that, but I think once Chimaev fights again, especially if he looks as dominant, it's right back on track. But right now, is that there's kind of that little vacuum, you know, for the prospect attention. So, you know, but yeah, Rakhmonov, get used to that name. Maybe you heard it here first on Beefy Boys, but but yeah, man, we'll keep it pushing because we got Kennedy and Chekawu fighting Danilo Marquez, and Chekawu -135 favorite, Marquez +110 underdog. And man, Kennedy and Chekawu, man, he's an interesting puzzle to figure out, and I don't necessarily mean that in the greatest of ways. You know what I'm saying?
The worst.
I just don't know how to feel about him. Like, I kind of don't like
can't
watching
stand
him
him,
fight.
dude. Like his fights kind of suck to watch, but at the
then
same
he'll
time,
do something that like
yeah. But it's like it's frustrating as hell because like his frame, his size, his physique, his power, clearly he has everything he needs to be successful. He just is not coachable during a fight.
And the motor. I don't know if this is a term. You don't really hear it used in combat sports, but when you're evaluating a football player, especially linemen,
defensive ends.
Yeah,
Gotta have a motor. Got motor on him.
You hear motor, like, is he going to like chase the play all the way across the field or make a tackle 25 yards downfield by taking an angle, stuff like that. Effort's another word, and like kind of want to.
The willingness not to give up.
Yes, and I just don't see that from Ncheka. With physical, I mean, if you're talking about checking boxes, it's talking about how good he looks in a pair of, you know, boxer shorts. I mean, just checking boxes. But yeah, as far as just that the exact opposite of what we were talking about with Yancy Medeiros, that drive, that refusal to quit. Like, he's like the anti-Yancy Medeiros, which is actually kind of blasphemous considering how this fight ends. But it's just the hunger, the drive, the motor is a better way. I'm not going to say desire to win because he showed great desire to win last night, but just the motor. I have issues with the motor, and it's a little OSP-ish foreshadowing.
It's just really frustrating because Marquez is on his back for 4 minutes and 45 seconds of round one. And his coaches are really telling him hand fight. Like,
he didn't try to pin him off using the cage. I was really surprised.
He would have
turned into the side with the leg, the body lock and peeled into the cage. I mean, at 4 minutes, it was literally they just stood there for 4.5 minutes. It was
he also was leaned forward, so Marquez's weight was on him instead of having to be on Marquez's legs to hold him there. Like, he did so many things wrong while he was standing in his corner. He walked to his corner, and his coaches were in his face talking to him, and he wouldn't do a thing they said.
I also don't want to let Marquez off the hook for that snoozer of a round either, because Marquez had his back for 4 minutes and 45 seconds and did dick with it. He literally didn't get close on any sub attempt. He inflicted 0 damage. I mean, what did he do? It was literally just a piggyback ride, and he probably gassed his own legs. And I don't know if I mean, I get it. Like, he won the round. I gave Marquez the round. Obviously,
10-9 Marquez, but I wrote
that's he didn't do shit with it.
I wrote if he does any damage, anything,
it even just does this. He didn't do this. He literally just fucking. He
was just trying to like squeeze a choke and like hold Kennedy and Zechiku's hands. I was like, what is happening? Dude, it was a terrible first round, honestly.
Yeah, maybe the worst round of 2021.
Yeah.
We say like round of the year.
Shit.
Like, that was
snoozer of the
year. Yeah, seriously. But then in round 2, it was literally more of the same, except for Marquez's gas tank was diminished. So Marquez ends up on the exact same position, the standing.
Got him to his
body
back, though,
triangle.
or got him on the ground.
Got him on the ground, but actually able to get up.
Yeah,
they were on the ground.
Yeah,
he actually did better on the ground, which is
and then got up with about 90 seconds to go, and then just started rocking Marquez the punches. Like, all of a sudden, he was like, "All right, I'm tired of like being held on the ground." Well, it took you 8.5 minutes to realize that, bro. That's more than half the fight.
Yeah, and Marquez, just the lack of activity and just like the body language, how clearly gassed he was. So I gave round 2 to Nchukwu. I said he stole the round at the end.
I said I could see 1919 or 1918.
From the 10-8?
If you gave a 10-8 to Marquez in the first.
That would be super trash. But I feel you.
Yeah.
But would you say Marquez was potentially even saved by the bell in round 2? Like he was like Checo was
Oh
going
yeah,
to
he was
work.
hurt. He was
Yeah,
hurt.
he was going to work. And then in round 3, he just pretty much picked up where he left off, put him down 20 seconds into the 3rd round. Just a flurry of kind of untechnical shots, but
It
super
was like he realized
powerful.
he could punch all of a sudden. I don't understand it. I don't
Yeah, he
understand why
flipped
it
the
took 10
switch. It
minutes.
took 10 minutes. It took 10 minutes. It really did. And then he started letting the hands go, and they were landing. And Marquez was just super gassed. Super gassed. And when, he was his jaw was open, he was breathing hard. But I gotta say, even with all this, I classify this as early stoppage.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That stoppage was just like, what was that? Like he literally, I don't even like. I mean, Marquez. Don't get me wrong, we were on our way to a stoppage, but we had not arrived at the station yet.
It was Herzog too, which was weird. Like,
I mean, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the fight was over-ish. Like I don't know. I thought it was an early stoppage. Do I think Marquez was gonna flip the script? No, but could he have? Yes. I mean, I thought I wasn't a fan of the stoppage, but and Cheku got the performance of the night bonus for it, which that's why I messaged Julia Avila saying that like I would have given her the bonus over this one. Now you can say give it to Jeremiah Wells over this one. I don't know how on a night full of badass finishes this gets the bonus. I mean, I get the whole comeback, but came back from what? The no damage? This
yeah,
fight
and
was
this
just
finish
deceiving.
sucked.
Yeah, the finish sucked. The first round sucked. I don't really get given this one the bonus. I I wouldn't. I mean, granted, I'm not trying to take money out of a man's pockets and enjoy the bonus, Kennedy. But I'm just saying, like, if I was handing out the bonuses, either Jeremiah Wells or Julia Avila, probably. Hell, even Rakhmonov, like literally any of the other prelim finishes, like in
Yeah,
my opinion, I would have
literally
ranked
any
this
of them.
one
Like,
last.
yeah, this was my least favorite prelim finish, to be quite honest with you, because the whole fight sucked. The finish kind of sucked. Like, I didn't think it was the most like necessary stoppage.
Yeah, like am I stoked on watching Nchekwu fight again? No. Am I stoked on watching Marquez fight again? No. Yeah, this fight did not do it for me, and for that reason, we will keep it pushing.